others that end up coming in later. Okay, so I just want to play catch up and just show you where we're sitting with everything. So if we have a look at our pass, we got an updated pass. I only saw it today. I only saw it about 10 minutes ago, actually. So your new pass is out, which has got the part submission date as well as the assignment submission date, which is obviously important. So I just want to show you. So your assignment is due, oh, for heaven's sake, sorry, it's just being slow. Okay, so it is in the OneDrive already for you. All right, so if we look at June, your part is due 14th of April and your POE is due on the 12th of June. So you've got 2 months between the two. Okay, so it does give you a nice bit of time between the two. And how it works is your part is the theoretical stuff. So learning unit 1 and 2. So it's the theory. And then your POE is the practical. So it works nicely in terms of the balance between the two. And what's really important to be aware of is that, so your part, like I say, that's the theory stuff. So I'm going to do just like a recap of Learning Unit 1 and look at some of Learning Unit 2. Have you been able to go through any content yet? Just out of interest? Or were you only loaded and only started getting the stuff now? Well, when I say now, this week. Just so I know up to. Okay, all right. Okay, so like I said, your part is your theory, and the POE is quite nice in that it is divided into 2 different things. So what you're going to do is you're going to be doing, yeah, no, I totally get that. That's fine. Then what I'll do is I'll do a refresher. I'll recap Learning Unit 1 until Ali gets here, and then we'll see if he has had a chance to go through Learning Unit 2, and then we'll assess, because what we can do is then leave Learning Unit 2 till the next collab when we do the NSS, just to give you a bit of time to play catch up. So the POE, and I know it seems crazy that I'm talking about the POE before the part, but there is actually a reason behind it, is that you are going to be writing 2 stories, one that would suit local news and one that suits an international audience. So the idea is that you need to start paying attention to what is happening around you. So I'm going to speak to the types of journalism that's covered in Learning Unit 1, which is participatory, community, activism, and humanitarian. So it's all the types of journalism that are all about creating change and awareness and are trying to, you know, make the world better. And your POE, you're writing to one of those styles of journalism, or to 2 of those styles of journalism. So the reason why I say you need to start thinking about what's going on around you is that you've got to start looking about the things that are impacting you and where you live. So it could be service delivery, it could be gender-based violence, it could be gang violence, it could be anything that is going on around you. And what you're going to be doing is writing a story that would suit your local community, but then you're also getting to write a story that is international. And it's quite nice because previously it was only 1 story that was written, but now you're going to write multiple stories, which actually is better because it means marks are distributed better. Because before it was like so many marks on 1 story, so if you messed it up, you had a problem. Where now you actually have a little bit of leeway, which is really important. And then all the stuff that you're doing, you're then going to be working with like Instagram and all that kind of thing. And then that's what gets uploaded onto your website, which is quite nice. Hey, Ali. Nice to see your name pop up. So, Ali, we've got Tegan joining us, who was with me at PMB campus. So, like Larissa was with me at Durban North, Tegan was with me at PMB. So, welcome to the fold. So it's actually quite funny that the two new students in our group are like my old students anyway, so they already know how weird and wacky I am. I did actually message, I messaged Liesel Marie Ali to see, because her and Pierre aren't doing the module. So I only got as far as contacting Liesel Marie. I haven't got as far as contacting Pierre yet to find out if they're joining us or not. Because just to add more voices to the crowd. So
Hi, Lady Anwen. Pia is not doing journalism this year. He told me. Yeah.
okay. Is
He,
he doing it over 4
he's doing,
years?
yeah, I think he's gonna take it next semester. Yeah, I'm
Oh,
not too
okay.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Thanks for that.
Mm.
Yeah. Okay, cool. All right. So, Ali, what I was just talking to is, so your updated pass has been released, which has got your take home and summative dates in. Hallelujah. And what I was saying is it's quite nice because you've got 2 months between your part and your POE. So, like I was saying to Tegan, just start looking at what events are happening around you. Be aware of what's going on. Ali, you're going to have a very different frame of reference because, so if you're doing pieces that are community-based or humanitarian or activism and all that, obviously you being in Saudi is quite different. So yeah, Tegan, just to say, Ali is a teacher in Saudi Arabia, but is from SA. So Ali, you can either draw on your Saudi stories, like your stuff that's happening around you there, or you can draw on stuff from here, from SA. Either will be, as long as it's stuff that you can work with.
You're making me laugh. In your one ice task, right? So, I was writing and I was researching, and then I came across Saudi and Iran, like they were like really enemies, man. But
Yeah.
then China came and then they like made up and whatever, and then I added
Mm-hmm.
that part to my essay. But if this was last year, they they would have probably tracked it, and then I would have been in big trouble, you know.
Oh yeah.
But um,
That's,
but now
you've got to be
on the
careful.
websites, exactly on the websites like the Saudi Gazette, right? They had the article, and then I was like, okay, if you post it there, then I can use it for my university studies, man.
Yep. Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cool. Thanks, man.
Okay. Yeah. Just be careful. I don't want any arrests based on your journalistic writing. Next minute. Don't worry. My husband and I went to Zim. We were staying in Zambia, and we just wanted to go to the Livingston to have high tea. Now he's a British citizen. Um, he was born in the UK, and when we got to, and it says in his passport that he's a journalism student, he got grilled at the passport place, literally to just go and have high tea, grilled for 20 minutes because this was in the time when like there was major censorship and stuff, and they almost didn't let him into the country. They almost were like, no, because you're a journalism student, you must be coming and reporting on Zim and everything. Yeah, it was, and we were students, we weren't used to this, so like it was very eye-opening experiencing that firsthand. Right, anyway, my random thing. Yeah, it was very nerve-wracking because shame, it was my first holiday away with this was when we were still dating and with him, like first holiday away with my parents. So he was like trying to put on a good brave face, but you could see he was like getting nervous there. Right. So, Ali, have you been able to go through Learning Unit 2 yet? I just needed to know that.
Okay, so I took 1 week and I went through 4 iStars. So I basically read
Mm,
like a lot of things, here and there. And so whatever you're gonna be discussing, I think I'll be on par. So it won't be an issue. Yeah.
okay.
I
All
actually
right.
I actually have a question. I actually have a question on
Mm,
the part, but
mm-hmm.
I posted it on the group. I don't know if you saw it.
Did
Yeah,
I miss a message? I'm sorry.
I think
Let
I
me just
think you
put up.
missed it for the first time in history.
Oh, word.
Uh,
What did you
okay, you can just have
say?
a look at that, and then yeah.
Oh, so I did miss it. I'm so
You
sorry.
never you never replied.
And you know that's not
Okay, no
me.
worries. That's not
Okay.
you at all. No worries.
Okay, I will definitely reply to that once we finished our collab. Because the reason why I was asking if you've gone through Learning Unit 2 yet is Tegan only got loaded this week. So she hasn't had a chance to go through Learning Unit 2 at all yet. So I just wanted to see where you were at in terms of the content because um, we can talk. So I just want to do a brief catch up just with Tegan, just to like go through kind of what we went through. Ali just discussed just literally 5 minutes, and then I just want to speak to the ethics because then that's obviously the foundation for Learning Unit 2. Um, and then yeah, in our next collab we'll do our NSS and go through the part in detail. But Ali, I will after we've signed off, I'll reply to your questions on the part. So, Tegan, just for context, let me just close this for now. When you're looking through Learning Unit 1, what you'll see is, like I said, we're looking at 4 areas of journalism, that being community, participatory, humanitarian, and activism. And these types of journalism are slightly different from your normal types of journalism because, as I explained to Ali in our last collab, is that they deal with different areas of media and society, and there are times where bias is deliberate for the greater good. So when we look at our community and participatory journalism, that's where we say that it's not parachute journalism. It's that you spend time getting to know a community, you spend time getting to know their issues, and then only you report on those issues that you've seen that have come to light. So those are really important because obviously they're about the bigger picture, and it is really useful for society to know not just what's at or what's on the surface, because in most journalism, it's as events occur, as there is a flood or a shooting, whatever, journalists will go in, cover the story, and leave. Where with community and participatory, you get to know the people, you get to know the story, you get to see the bigger picture. All right. And then your activism and humanitarian journalism. Now, how those are different is that starting with activism, that is where you've got bigger issues that are affecting society at a given time. So, for example, gender-based violence, or it could be your Black Lives Matter, or what have you. It's that journalists go in with the intention of covering the story from their particular angle. So they are going either with the activism or going against it, but generally going with the event that is occurring and deliberately writing stories that create awareness, spread the viewpoint, and take on a particular stance. So, say with Black Lives Matter, with obviously being a US based thing, you had journalists that were there who were pro Black Lives Matter and the protests and what have you. So their stories were very much about speaking out for black rights, speaking out for people of color, speaking out against the police force and everything. But then if you were a journalist working for the Republican side, you were very much showing people as um, hooligans and destructive, and playing um, playing things up and making these people seem like they are terrible. But our activism journalism, the perspective you guys are taking, is where you are deliberately reporting to create awareness, spreading knowledge, and speaking out against these issues. Okay. And then humanitarian is then a little bit even more different. That was terrible English, but we'll ignore that. And with your humanitarian, it's where journalist takes a deliberate bias. So they work for a specific NGO or they work for a specific organization, and they are using their journalistic skills to write from the perspective of that organization. So that they're writing about um, world hunger or AIDS or whatever it may be. It's that they're using their journalistic skills to write in a way that deliberately spreads awareness and reaches an audience that is wide and vast. All right, so that's with your humanitarian. So it's that journalists put down that objectivity, put down their traditional journalistic roles, and pick up the role of, wanting to be the spokesperson. Yeah, it is interesting. So if you go and have a look at the what's it called? The resources for this particular module. Sorry, guys, I don't know why my brain is not working in my favor. It is, if so, you'll notice that there is no prescribed material. That's the word. So there's no prescribed material. It's only websites and web links. If, like I said to the others, if any of them don't work, don't panic. There are so many options available. If one doesn't work, just let me know so that I can flag it with campus, so that they can flag it with national. But if it doesn't work, there are so many other links available. All right. Okay. Are you too comfortable with all that? That massive onslaught of information very quick.
It's cool. It's cool. This is actually on my question on the group, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
okay, so you mentioned the humanitarian, the community, and the activism journalists, right? The genres.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my question was the fourth estate. The fourth estate is the accountability part, according to what I've read, right? So
Mm-hmm.
now, is the question asking us to apply the three genres, okay, in light of, or rather explain the three genres in light of accountability, right? And then
Mm.
apply it to the journalism industry and society, like as examples, when to bring it alive. Is that what the bullet point is asking us to do?
Not
So
exactly.
we expect.
So,
Ah, I
yeah.
see.
Okay. So
Yes, this
when
is how
we
I
when
understood
we
it. Sorry, sorry.
yeah, yeah, go, go.
I just understood the bullet point as talking about three genres, right? Community, activism, and humanitarian, and
Mm,
then in light of accountability, right?
mm,
And then
mm-hmm.
applying it to the journalism industry, like in the sense of bringing up examples as to how that happens. That's what I thought I must do, you know, but I
Okay.
might be wrong.
You right and you wrong. Okay. So remember, journalism as the fourth estate. So it's what? It's government, government, religion, and the people, right? Those are the three pillars of society. So it used to be king, church, and serf, because the peasants and stuff. So the fourth estate, journalism, journalists working as the fourth estate means that they are the watchdogs. They are holding people accountable for their actions. So the journalism working in the fourth estate means that they are shedding light on the issues within society. They are shedding light to when people do things that are unethical, that they are doing things that that they shouldn't be doing. So, for example, we know about Nkandla because, and I brought that up last year with Journ 1, we know about Nkandla because we have press freedom. So when the media are working as the fourth estate, they're working in the idea that they have freedom of the press, and they have the ability to um, hold us accountable, and then also hold themselves accountable to society. So the idea is that with humanitarian activism and participatory, is that the right one of the three? Am I right?
I'm seeing you, community, activism, and humanitarian.
Okay, so community, not participatory. Okay, cool. So when a journalist or a publication is acting as the fourth estate, they are holding us accountable. So, for example, with Black Lives Matter, when they are actually looking, so that's activism, for example, all right, they are able to hold the police force accountable for their actions. by journalists covering the event, speaking out against the police force, naming those involved within the event. By them doing all that, they're acting in the fourth estate by holding the American police system and the American government accountable for the systemic racism. They are able to, so for gender-based violence, when someone is raped and murdered based on their gender, the journalists are able to actually report on that person's murder and death. They're able to name the person once they're convicted. They're able to actually hold people accountable for their actions. So what you're needing to do is speak to how journalists are able to hold society accountable for their actions, and again hold themselves, but in this instance it's focusing on holding society accountable. And then you've got to give real world examples. So like for activism, you could use Black Lives Matter or gender-based violence. For community, it could be load shedding, because load shedding is a community issue. It's a South African community, but it's something we're all dealing with. The national shutdown and how how the media was able to tell us about what was actually happening with the shutdown. And we held Julius Malema accountable, saying he's not going to, he doesn't want violence and looting and all that. Is this making some sense?
Absolutely. I am clear with this point now. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm just looking. Second bullet point is okay. Third, humanitarian journalism, just critique it in light of the ethical considerations in the global digital environment and not the other two. Yeah, so that it is just the humanitarian one that you're looking at, because this is what we're going to look at now, is that it's the big ethical question around humanitarian journalism is that, so when we study journalism, we're always told to remain objective, except if we are writing an opinion piece. Okay, so it's something you guys both were told in Journ 1, was that you remain objective unless it's an opinion piece and it clearly states it's an opinion piece. Because if we don't remain objective and when there is bias, what happens is that people are not getting the full picture. And the result of that is blinkered people with a particular mindset that is presented in an uneducated manner. So, for example, if you were, say, Republican in the States, you would be, most of the media going out was anti the COVID vaccine. Very, very anti that, government's just trying to control us and all that could go wrong with the world, right? Where the democratic perspective was that the vaccine is there to protect us, COVID is real, don't shy away. And the thing is that both sides have got aspects of reality and factual basis and information, but if you are only researching for the negatives of vaccines, you are only going to find the negatives. If you are only focusing on the positives of a vaccine, that is what you will find. So now humanitarian, being that it is writing from a perspective that you are saying that you are standing for a particular belief system, so either anti-hunger, AIDS, global warming, whatever it is. Now, by you writing, as a journalist, you writing these stories, does that not mean you are now acting unethical as a journalist because you are deliberately producing content that is biased, because you are wanting people to believe your cause and you're wanting people to see the same way as you? Does that make sense to you guys? Ali? Okay, so now this is now where I want to show you guys something. All right. Nope, nope, nope. Sorry. I want to share my application. I just want to share my screen with you. Okay. So, oh, damn it. Sorry, it's just taking to the link. Let me just get it to this page because that's what I'm showing. Okay. So, why don't you have the original picture? Sorry, I'm just trying to find the, here we go. This is the right one. All right. I know you're going to take me to another page. Sorry, guys, I thought I had the right one up, but it was not the one with the comparison. It was the one with the only the original picture. All right. So I'm going to show you this piece, and you can clearly state at the top there it says opinion. All right. Now, here is, I'm going to zoom out a little bit so you can see the whole thing. All right. Do you guys see here this picture with the camera in the bottom left-hand corner? All right. So this was the photo that actually got released. And you can see here that that camera has magically disappeared. All right. You can see his face is a bit, the coloring has changed. He was a bit more red in these photos. The colors were muted to make it look more earthy and dusty and stuff. And this camera was removed. And this was done by a Associated Press photographer. Now, when you are editing photos for press, the only thing you're allowed to do is change the brightness, the contrast, and the cropping. Now, this photographer submitted the photo like this, and you can see here with no camera, where the original photograph had a camera here. Now, why is it unethical for a journalist, or a photojournalist in this instance, to do this? Why do you think it's a problem? Why do you think it's such a big deal that he just edited out a camera? Okay, that they're trying to hide something. Good, Tegan. Ali?
Maybe the guy is the photojournalist friend or someone um that just pitched the photo and then yeah, made her famous or made him famous. That's what I can think.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay, so think about this, right? That camera's just been edited out. Very, very nonchalant, no problem. Where is the line? What if he now photoshopped the skin color? What if he photoshopped the gun into the guy's hand? It's all doable,
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So, exactly. It means that you don't know where that line is. You don't know when that person is crossing the line. Because if they so happily will edit out a camera, for example, even though, yes, it doesn't change the message of the picture, it doesn't change anything. But the thing is that we then don't know how far that journalist is willing to go to edit photos to suit the brief rather than be a true reflection of society. And I'm just sorry, my things popped up. Yeah, exactly, to get the story. You don't know how far they're willing to go. And this is the thing is that with ethics, when it's like if you're even doing something with, say, children and world hunger, you can't go and Photoshop that child to be standing alone and, not taken out of context. It's that where is that line? Where is that line drawn for that journalist and for that news organization?
And it actually happens a lot, in the humanitarian space. Talking
Mm,
about, like if I listen to people in Cape Town and how they talk about these NGOs that uses the Palestinian issue to raise funds, man. Okay,
mm-hmm,
and so they especially in the Muslim community because it's a it's just crazy. Okay, in my
mm,
opinion. But then
mm,
they would collect thousands of rands and stuff for the Palestinians, but then the money never gets them, man. You know, and they would use
100%.
articles. They would make adverts and raise money and things like that. But then the people is not even allowed to get the stuff, the money and whatever they're collecting in the first place. And then we are so brainwashed, man. People are so brainwashed, and they're still just giving to the cause. You know what I'm trying to say? And it's
Yep.
and if I'm a journalist and I'm earning peanuts in South Africa, for example, I'm gonna write the story. I'm gonna be this. I'm gonna do this unethical things. Okay, more times
Hmm.
than not because I'm on the payroll. That's the reality, you
Exactly.
know. Um,
Hmm.
and 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 even like and when 2 months ago, right? This organization in Cape Town, I won't lie to you, they someone like someone that didn't get money from the organization, he like start talking about the organization, man, this Islamic organization, and there was I won't lie to you, maybe 2 million rand, okay, that was unaccounted for, man. How can a
What?
religious organization 2 million rand and then like 786 and the Voice of the Cape and all of these people they wrote stories, but then they also connected to the organization. So now the one radio station and their journalists, for example, are writing against them, and the other radio station and
Jeez.
their journalists is like, it's like it logger it's all the time, and so coming back to this now, this unethical, things that journalists do, especially in the humanitarian space, it is a reality.
Mm.
People do strange things just to get a story, like the lady said now, that's with us now, and also for money. It's about money. That's
Yeah.
why I decided personally to come overseas, pay my house and all of these things, get it done, a 5-year plan, and go back and actually be ethical, man. I know this is
Mm.
personal, but I mean, I don't want to be like those people that use a certain cause to for their own pockets, which is just bad,
Mm.
you know.
And it's true, and that
Okay.
this is something that's been in society for a very long time. As you guys can see, I was just trying to see if I could find a picture from Chat GPT as well. It's that you never know where the disconnect happens, and then the ethics and the scary side of it comes to light. And this is with ChatGPT being used so frequently now, we don't even know if the images that are being produced are real images or if it's digitally created now. So it's opening up a huge ethical debate about how can we tell the difference. And it's even something simple, like there was a photojournalist by the name of Eduardo Martins, and he was from Brazil, and he went to all the torn countries, and he was a humanitarian journalist and all this. Turns out it was a complete catfish. Eduardo Martins did not exist as a human being. All his photos were taken from other people, and he just flipped the image. So when you did an image search, it wouldn't find their images. And it was only like, and his photos, I say in inverted commas, had gone to Washington Post, New York Times. He was known as this like legit, amazing journalist, or photojournalist. And then people started realizing he didn't exist. He was a fake human. It was just someone on the Twitter sphere that made up him as a human being. And yeah, we never know what is true, and we don't know what is ever um, accurate. And it's this whole ethical debate about how far people are willing to go because money, because the whole idea is that we have this situation where we don't know what people are, how far people are willing to go because they need to pay their bills at the end of the day, or because someone's giving them a kickback, sorry, for something. So it's that this ethical situation that we have to take into consideration. And the reality is, you guys will have your own ethical boundaries. And if either of you go into any form of writing, you have to always decide for yourself how far you're willing to go. Like, is it ethical for someone to give you a gift? Or, is it going to sway your perception of them? Um, it's all very dependent on what you're trying to achieve. Um, so you guys have got to think about yourself, and you've also got to think about the journalistic environment, and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. All right. Does this make sense, guys? Are you feeling okay about it?
I'm cool. It's nice. I enjoy these sessions.
Awesome.
Uh,
All right. Are there any questions at all? Because that's it from me. And just what I want you guys to think about over this next week, and when you start prepping for your part. Any
um,
questions at all?
I actually wanna ask you about this ChatGPT. I don't have
Yeah.
it. I don't have it, but there's many other tools that's available. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen people using it, right? Um, and these tools, they actually give you references also. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
to get
Yeah.
the theory, it's amazing in my opinion. It saves you
Mm,
a whole lot of time and stuff, but you still need to, put it together and
mm.
just write your essay or whatever the case may be. Um, what is your take on using a tool like this?
So for me, I am not seeing it as the scary thing that we need to be worried about and all of that thing. How I see it is that it is an amazing tool that is going to be incredibly impactful on society. But within academics, unless you know the content, you can't use it. So, like my students were saying, how they can just create lesson plans using it and they don't have to do the work. And I said, yeah, that's great. You can use it to create the lesson plan. But unless you actually know that content and know what you are teaching and you actually have the background and the knowledge, it's going to mean nothing, because they're going to ask a question. A student or a learner or whatever is going to ask a question, and you're going to stand there like the idiot because you don't know the actual content. So to me, it's going to be something that is amazing when people know the work first, if that makes sense.
It does make sense, but like I spoke to my students today, right? And I was reading to them a paragraph that I wrote on my communication assignment, okay?
Mm,
And it was about the three perspectives, the egalitarian and complexity and some other thing,
mm-hmm,
right? And then I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to explain this 5 minutes max, okay? 2 minutes max.
mm-hmm,
And then what happened was there was an article of Jeff Bezos, okay, and his mega yacht couldn't go through the some bridge there in Rotterdam, okay, and they asking
mm-hmm,
in the question, apply these three theories to the scenario, man, in global communication now, right? So
mm-hmm,
I used a tool to get a basic definition of these three perspectives, and then when I had the theory, I could actually see in the example how it is there, man, you know, and its limitations. So I could have a discussion. Like for
mm,
example, the I'm thinking now. Um, the the egalitarian one perspective speaks about giving everyone a fair chance and poor and rich and this and that and whatever. And okay, the evolutionary, this is exactly the evolutionary perspective says that everything changes over time, and it comes from the Darwinism and all of these things. Now this
mm-hmm,
bridge was built in the 1940s, man. Okay, and then in 2017 they revamped it, okay, because it was of cultural importance to Rotterdam and the Netherlands. but they're not
Mm-hmm.
using the bridge anymore. So now we can see the evolutionary perspective and culture over there, and preserving what they have. But now we have this modern technology, the mega yacht over here, okay,
Mm-hmm.
and he also needs a place to do his thing, man. The yacht now, and Jeff Bezos and whatever. So now we can say we understand the evolutionary perspective over here. We identified it, okay, and its importance to culture and society. But now the limitations is if there's no real communication between, let's say, now and people of this perspective, then there's going to be chaos unless we can find a favorable solution. And then
Mm.
in the article it says that yes, the government again. Now the different perspective, the egalitarian comes in. The government of Rotterdam then says, you know what? Um, we spoke to Oceania, the company that built the yacht. Okay, they said they will make a smaller yacht or something, or break the bridge and rebuild it just for the yacht to pass, man. Can you see how amazing it is? How can I know
Yep.
this in like just a few days, and this was not in my capability last year, and
Yep.
I'm contextualizing, man. You know what I
Mm.
mean? It's crazy, man, and it's so
It
helpful.
is insane. But this is what we have to
Yeah,
be aware of, is that unless students are actually aware of this, then yeah, it's very, very interesting.
so what I'm saying is, and I told my students today, and Lady Anwin, I would say lady for this week, Lady Anwin, I'm saying this, if you have the content and you discuss this with your students, then you're actually
Mm.
learning, man. You know,
Yeah.
I don't need to look at this textbook for 2 weeks, try to figure out what is really going on, look at your PowerPoints and stuff, and then come to a level where I can just speak to you about what they actually want me to see, man.
Yeah,
You,
but
you
it's
know what
about
I'm
it's
trying
so
to
it's
say?
yeah, but it's again, it's about that understanding. The more that you can understand something, the better that they can actually work through. It's about the fundamental knowledge first before working through
Correct.
with these things, because the problem is, if what we can find with a lot of students is that the contents of the essays and everything is not going to make sense with what we've taught, because they don't have the knowledge to
Yeah,
go through what the softwares have created, because they don't actually know what's happening. So it's about that
of course.
fundamental knowledge first.
Of course. And that is why,
Yeah.
like I say, lecturers and you guys will never be redundant. Just for that guides, man. You know what I mean? But then again, you guys need to know, need to know your content and how it
Mm,
and its application, because
yeah.
and when you can, I don't want a compliment from you now, but you can see I'm different, man. I promise you. I promise
Yeah,
you, I'm so much relaxed. I'm so relaxed in compared to last year.
that's
Honestly.
good. That's that is
Anyway, okay,
awesome.
yes. Okay.
All right. Okay. Tegan, the ICE tasks, go to more resources and go to ICE activities, and all the ICE tasks that Ali was talking about earlier, and that are all listed there. So you have full access to them. Okay. All right. Anything else, guys? The due date for all of them is the 15th of May.
Okay, thank you guys. Thank you, Ms. Tegan and Lady Anwin. Um,
Thank you,
I'll
Ali.
send, don't worry, you will see, I'll send you this this part
Yeah,
very
please
soon,
do.
and yeah, and then we can talk about it.
Mm.
Okay, see you. Bye bye. Bye bye.